What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today, I'm excited because I'm going to be restoring a series that was one of the original series that I did here on the channel that got this channel started, and that is going to be the What Would It Take series. In today's episode, we're going to cover what would it take to fix the New York Jets as a franchise. So in this series, what we're going to do is we're going to explore some trades, some moves, some various different things, and talk about it and conversate about what it would take to fix a specific franchise. In today's video, specifically, we're going to be going through the Jets franchise, taking a look at what's going on with the team, where they stand, and where they need to improve in order to make themselves competitive going forward. Now, I think that a lot of people were excited for the New York Jets to draft Zack Wilson, but I was one of the few people, or maybe it's many people, that said Zack Wilson is not going to be necessarily the answer to the problem over here in New York. The problem that the New York Jets have is a culture problem, a losing culture, a culture of, not really having a lot of veteran presence around in order to, teach their younger players the way to carry themselves and the way to, work their way up and work this team into playoff contention. And beyond that, it's a personnel problem. They got rid of Sam Darnold from a team that was already kind of devoid of talent on the offensive side of the ball, and brought in another rookie quarterback and placed him into the exact same scenario without much help around him in order to succeed. So the first thing that I want to note is that Sam Darnold was not the problem here in New York. Sam Darnold has gone on to the Panthers now, and he is playing successfully over there as the Panthers quarterback, and we're seeing all of the good things that we saw out of Sam Darnold coming out as a top quarterback from the college game. And so, Zack Wilson could potentially be very good with this New York Jets offense as well. But the answer here lies with putting personnel around him. If you take a look at their roster, it tells everything that you need to know here within what's going on with this team. They really do not have much going on in terms of their offensive line, so their quarterback is going to be under pressure pretty much all the time. And we see that within the game. We saw that with Sam Darnold. We see that with Zack Wilson. And not only that, there's a personnel problem at pretty much every position on offense here. Number one, they have not had a true tight end, reliable target, which is what you need for a young quarterback in years. For years, they have not had a legitimate tight end target, and that presents a problem when you're trying to develop a young quarterback, because that is the player that they need to be able to lean on. Likewise, they really have not had a lot going on at running back, at least not this year. Not anybody that I could trust at running back, in my personal opinion. And so, that is the other position that young quarterbacks like to lean on, is they need to have those check down players. They need to have that, big, tall target over the middle with sure hands, and they need to have that check down player that they can expect to dump the ball off onto, that they can expect to kind of lean their running game on a little bit to balance out the offense, and the Jets just simply don't have that. Similarly, they have had a plethora of wide receivers that have been effective at times. They've never put together a very effective combined unit here in the wide receiving core. But they do have a lot of, young talent with high upside that simply tend to drop passes and cause negative plays for the offense. You guys will see that with Zack Wilson when you watch real-life NFL gameplay. He'll put the ball kind of where it needs to be. It's not like he's a super inaccurate quarterback, and what happens a lot of times is their top wide receivers, it'll bounce off their hands and go into the hands of the defenders. And so, it becomes clear here that they are kind of lacking the true talent that they need on the offensive side of the ball. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, they haven't done a poor job of putting together an effective team. They've actually brought in a lot of talent that can be an effective unit here on defense. The only problem is that's not where you need your talent to be in order to get your quarterback to develop. If you want to have any hope as a franchise drafting these high overall quarterbacks, you have to focus on developing that quarterback and putting personnel around them. Having a good defense is not going to do anything to help the development of your quarterback. Sure, it might help you from time to time, but if your offense can't stay on the field, It doesn't matter how good your defense is. You could be the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you could be the Los Angeles Rams defense. If you're on the field for 75% of the game, you're going to get worn down and you're going to give up points no matter what. And so what we're going to be doing here with this team is we're going to be looking to shift talent from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball. And primarily, we're looking to bring in veteran players, established players within other teams, players that might potentially be looking for a trade, for a new home, whatever it might be. We're looking to acquire players like that to anchor the offensive rebuild and get this team to a point of contention. The one final note here that I want to give in terms of player personnel for the Jets is that they have proven time and again that they're not necessarily the best at roster development and drafting players. And so a shift is necessary from this team in order to bring in players from outside teams. You guys will know that guys like CJ Mosley were brought in. This is one of their best players, was brought in as a free agent from another team, from the Ravens. And players like Corey Davis, good players, solid players that they've gotten within their franchise, Le'Veon Bell, have been successful on other teams and brought in here and have found some amount of success. Now, Le'Veon Bell kind of busted with this team and whatnot, but the point being that I think that the mentality here needs to be, in my opinion, to bring in veteran talent that has been established on other teams before we can really focus on developing our own players. Now, they have developed a couple of nice players on defense like Quinnen Williams and whatnot, and I might utilize him to anchor the defense, but we got to shift our talent here first and foremost. All right, now we've gone in and made a few moves here that make sense for the Jets, and we've done a few things that are going to bolster up this team around our young quarterback and give us an opportunity to succeed. So the first move that I decided to make was I went out and decided to bolster our tight end room. So the Philadelphia Eagles are in a very bad salary cap situation. We've all heard about their potential to trade various different elite players on their team, with Dallas Goedert being on their team at tight end, who is arguably better than Zach Ertz at this point. Zach Ertz is absolutely available and a player that is that veteran presence that I was talking about, an absolute reliable target for Zack Wilson, and that is our very first move, is to go out and grab him. Now, in addition to that, I decided to go out and target Hayden Hurst, who is basically being replaced in the Falcons offense because of the drafting of their top tight end. So we get Hayden Hurst, who is very much a receiving threat at tight end, and we now have two veteran, reliable targets at tight end that can rotate through, give us a lot of quality reps out there at tight end that can help block, they can stay in and block, they can give us a ton of value that is going to help Zack Wilson progress as a quarterback. The next move that we decided to make after that is we went out to a team that had an excess of offensive line but isn't very successful right now, and that is the Colts, who are 0-3, and we traded for Mike Glewinsky. Now, this is a guy that has been a very effective guard within the NFL for multiple seasons now. He's 29 years old. He brings a veteran presence to the team, and he helps plug a couple of gaps that they have on the offensive line. Now, they do have an injury to their top left tackle, Mekhi Becton, and once he comes back, the combination of him, Elijah Vera Tucker, Connor McGovern, Mike Glewinsky, and then maybe Morgan Moses, or insert another veteran offensive tackle here at right tackle, they're going to have a very effective offensive line. Now, it's not going to be a top unit, but it has the potential to give our quarterback the time that he needs and block for our offense. The next move that I decided to make here was I decided to trade one of our extra first-round picks along with, I believe it was CJ Mosley, over to or it could have been Marcus May, one or the other. They both got traded, but one of them plus a first-round pick plus some other stuff over to the Washington football team in return for Terry McLaurin. Now, Washington football team might not be the most likely team to trade away Terry McLaurin, but if you face them with an offer that is very, very good value, especially with him going towards contract negotiation years, with him having only 2 years in the league now, 3 years in the league, he's going to need a big contract at some some point they might be available to trading him if you give a big enough offer. Now, you don't have to have Terry McLaurin here. It could be insert any other reliable wide receiver target, and you have the potential of trading your first round pick as well as some of those defensive players in return for a top reliable wide receiver target for your young quarterback. So Terry McLaurin is the player that I decided to go with, but it could be a various number of other players within the league. What this does is this bumps down a guy like Corey Davis and takes some of the weight off of his shoulders because he's not a true number one, and then guys like Crowder and Keelan Cole and Braxton Berrios can slot in behind there and more. They can slot in behind and find their roles in the offense with having a reliable target that can spread the field and stretch the field for this offense. And then finally, here on the offensive side of the ball, we go out and acquire a running back that is an extra on a team like a Leonard Fournette. Now, this could be a Leonard Fournette, this could be a Phillip Lindsay, this could be insert any other running back that has been there and done that in the NFL and has some upside to offer to this team. This is a running back, specifically Leonard Fournette, that could be a superstar if given the lead back role in just about any offense in the league. Leonard Fournette is a monster, and we bring him over here since they already have 2 or 3 very good backs over there in Tampa Bay. We offer them quite a bit to get him back. We have a ton of draft capital, extra seconds, extra thirds, extra players that they might be able to utilize on their defense, and so we trade some of that over to Tampa Bay in order to get Leonard Fournette back here. Now, like I said, there could be various other players that could fit this role, but Leonard Fournette is a young player that could be a superstar in this offense. He's only 26 years old. He's got fresh legs. He would be a monster in this offense, and not only that, he is reliable in the receiving game. So he adds that dynamic to this offense that is going to help take the weight off of Zack Wilson's shoulders and allow this offense to flourish. And there's one more move here on the offensive side of the ball that is absolutely crucial for this team, and that is bringing in insert any veteran quarterback like Andy Dalton that has been there and done that within the NFL. You need to have a veteran quarterback here that can compete for the starting job, but also teach the young quarterback a thing or two. Andy Dalton is the guy that is doing that right now for the Bears and Justin Fields. It doesn't have to be Andy Dalton. It could be Fitzmagic. It could be multiple other guys that have been there and done that. I don't care who it is, but they need to have that presence on the roster. Currently, in the state of things right now, having 2 young quarterbacks is not going to get you anywhere. You need that veteran presence to establish the correct culture, establish the correct work ethic, and teach this kid what he needs to know and how to prepare for NFL football. And with that being said, we really did not have to touch our pass rush. Our front 4 were left basically as is. The only major subtractions from this defense were our outside linebacker in CJ Mosley, and then Marcus May at safety. This team has various players on the roster that can fill those roles, though, and you can sign veteran players to fill those roles, and you can draft players to fill those roles. We are still left with a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and later round picks as well. There's no saying that we can't bolster our defense after we've bolstered our offense by utilizing those first round picks or those early round picks or this coming draft pick. Now, that's not saying that they're going to be able to do all of this in one season or anything like that. Obviously, this is a tall task. This is a lot to get done, but this is what's going to need to happen over a year or two, over this season, over the off season, come trade deadline, all that stuff in order to make this team go in the right direction. We also picked up a veteran cornerback in Darqueze Dennard, who again can establish that veteran presence. He's been there, he's done that, he's an effective coverage corner, he can do both man and zone coverage. That's going to help these younger guys find their roles in behind him. This gives the team a lot less question marks, and it gives the team a true identity on the offensive side of the ball. This is a team that can run the football and stretch the field with shot plays downfield to guys like Terry McLaurin and then fill in between from there. We have reliable targets now for our young quarterback that are going to be absolutely crucial for them to develop. My plan here for the team moving forward to the offseason beyond doing these moves would be to add another veteran offensive lineman. So whether they go with the method of trading for a guy like Glewinsky or they decide to sign one or two solid veteran linemen, they should be able to get that done without any problem, and that is going to be a big fix for this offense. They can go the route of free agency or trading for a halfback. There are multiple ways to get it done. I think that there are many opportunities right now for them to trade for a running back that could get a lot of that weight off the shoulders of Zack Wilson, and I think that there are a lot of opportunities for them to trade for a top, reliable wide receiver in order to make something happen. Now, there are potential options in free agency. You could also try to find somebody in the draft, but that's risky because you're bringing in a young player that is potentially not going to establish themselves the way that you need to have an established target for this quarterback on your roster. They also need to address the tight end position. I'm not saying that they have to go out and get two tight ends like I did here, but these are two tight ends that are very much on the trade block in the NFL right now, and they're not going to require a lot in order to get them back. Like I said, the Jets have extra round picks in pretty much every single round. You could probably get Zach Ertz for like a third round pick, maybe a fourth. Same thing with Hayden Hurst. They're not going to cost a lot, and these are players that would drastically improve the performance and the reliability of Zack Wilson's passing game. So in order to finalize this video, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. What do you guys think it would take in order to bolster the New York Jets team and take them to a point of contention? Do you agree with the moves that I made in here and the summary of what I decided to do? My basic goal here is to get this team to a point where the offense has weapons around the quarterback and we change the culture here with some veteran presence on the offensive side of the ball. Nothing's going to change here in New York until they do that. They need some veteran players that are reliable targets for their quarterback. They need a reliable offensive line, and they need a running back that can add a dynamic to the offense that they simply don't have right now. There's a lot of things going wrong in New York, and there are very clear ways to fix the problems that they have, in my opinion. Like I said, let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a good one.